For hours, the sky above Wandsworth Prison was silent, until this. That's a drone making its descent into the jail. It's illegal, brazen and bold, and it's here to drop drugs directly to an inmate's window.
Behind the towering walls of Britain's supposedly toughest jails, a known problem still persists. Gangsters are still running their multi-million-pound drug empires from inside their cells. The sole purpose of their incarceration was to stop them from operating. So how is this even possible? All of this is achieved through corrupt staff, encrypted phones, and brutal enforcers who have turned these prisons into a base of operations for organised crime. People with insider knowledge understand the violence that comes with the drugs and the cash, and they keep warning the prison service that this is getting out of control. At this point, they need a special unit of prison officers, well-trained and ready to infiltrate this network and get rid of these gangs, or at least try to reduce their influence. If you enjoy true crime documentaries, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We really appreciate the support, thank you. I recently saw a video of the prison service officers crushing tons of smartphones that had been confiscated, and there was all sorts in that pile. From the latest iPhone models to Samsung devices, it was the whole lot. They get SIM cards smuggled in, and use encrypted messaging apps that are passed on to inmates, giving them more power than ever to operate with impunity. And it's not just the gangsters pulling the strings. Corrupt staff have become key members, smuggling drugs, weapons, and devices for their share of the profits. Some others are even groomed for pleasure. The Minister of Prisons, James Timpson, made a statement saying that prison staff are being corrupted by very manipulative people.
This government inherited a well-advanced plan to outsource contracts after a 2023 Cabinet Office assessment concluded that in-house capability was not sufficient to make insourcing viable. Insourcing would be reliant on retaining staff from current suppliers, but labour market constraints and public sector pay rates were not likely to be attractive.
The environment inside is getting out of control, and these criminals are taking advantage of very vulnerable people. But we all know not all of them are vulnerable. Some are just greedy and downright psychotic. There are just under 88,000 prisoners serving time in His Majesty's prisons and probation service, and it is estimated that more than 10% of them are involved in organised crime. This is from an annual report published in July, since the first Labour government took office. The problem is massive. In many jails, there is a seemingly uncontrolled level of criminality that inexperienced staff are unable to contain. One of the main issues affecting the prison service is the lack of investment in technology and proper training for staff to detect and remove the illicit items that generate these profits. In this video, we cover some of the main stories that have come out of the British prison system in recent years, including vile acts that drag some seemingly ordinary men and women into trouble. We start with one of the most disturbing cases in recent times, where a disgraced prison officer had a relationship with an inmate, but claimed she was emotionally manipulated. Morgan Farr Varney, a 25-year-old woman, was jailed for 10 months after she pleaded guilty to misconduct while serving in a public role at HMP Lindholm in South Yorkshire. She said she properly fell in love during her time at the Category C jail, to the extent she was sharing letters with the criminal behind bars. It was CCTV footage that eventually exposed them, showing the pair loitering around the prison before vanishing into a cupboard. She was arrested and interviewed by officers in January 2023, and that's when she admitted how involved she was with him. After being released on bail, she resigned from her role, and the prisoner was transferred to HMP Wealdstone near Wetherby in Yorkshire. None of this deterred the relationship. It was later revealed that Vanny continued seeing him regardless. Staff found new photos of her in his prison cell and piles of love letters between her and the cocaine dealer Jordan Stones. Nico Logan, who is touted as an underworld Mr. Big, continued running his drug empire from behind bars. The 31-year-old dealer was jailed for 16 years after admitting to a slew of charges, mainly conspiracy to possess a firearm and being concerned in the supply of drugs. His sentence was almost doubled after he arranged to import over £1 million worth of cocaine from the Netherlands into the UK. Logan orchestrated the shipment from HMP Manchester through phone calls to his associates on the outside. His downfall began when he was arrested in June 2023 after his phone records were traced and border agents intercepted a parcel packed with cocaine at Birmingham Airport, addressed to a property in Wythenshawe. But he built on his illicit enterprise, hoping to make more money from the trade of a highly destructive drug. The investigation led to the discovery of 12 brown-taped packages of cocaine. Detectives watched 34-year-old Michael Garside collecting a parcel at an address in Wythenshawe. He then phoned Logan in prison, updating him on the delivery. He drove the package to another address on Cedars Road. Garside was then released. I don't understand why. The reason police gave was that he was acting under Logan's orders. If he wasn't threatened and chose to take part knowingly, he should have served time too. The UK prison system is so weak that one inmate managed to run a drug-dealing empire from the comfort of his prison cell with the help of his mother. 32-year-old Alexander Mullings was serving an 8-year sentence for a series of robberies, but was later found guilty of masterminding a plot to import submachine guns into the UK. From his cell in Wandsworth Prison, Mullings smuggled the weapons into the country from Germany using parcel force. After intercepting 3 of the semi-automatic guns, police were on high alert, but 5 other packages had already slipped through. His girlfriend and another accomplice were also arrested and found guilty, but even that didn't stop him. The ruthless inmate went on to run a huge trafficking network where he orchestrated the smuggling of spice, crack, and cannabis into jails, including Swaleside in Kent and Wormwood Scrubs in West London. In the latest case tied to him, Mullings admitted smuggling drugs and mobile phones into prisons between 2016 and 2019 with the help of others, including his mother, Alexandra Nicolaou, who was 52 at the time. His mother received a 7-year sentence, and he was jailed for 19 years. He became infamous for using drones to import illicit goods into prisons, and during his trial, jurors were shown the drones he used. His gang also took advantage of a rule that prohibited prison officers from opening legal letters addressed to inmates. They even advertised on Instagram, offering spice liquid at £500 per litre. He used 33 different mobiles from behind bars and kept constant contact with his co-defendants. He even had plans to produce fentanyl and was ordering the chemicals to do it. His mother said he asked her to buy the phones and chemicals, but never said what they were for. She believed he was making money selling tree fiends, and that the chemicals were for a mobile nail bar business run by a friend. Prison nurse Amy Hatfield was drawn into running a drug network for gangster Joseph Whittingham while he was serving his sentence. Whittingham, who died in January, was at the centre of one of the largest prison smuggling operations ever uncovered in the UK, involving drugs and weapons inside HMP Lindholm in Doncaster. Hatfield and 17 others helped move more than £1 million worth of drugs, knives and mobile phones into the jail. According to police and court reports, Whittingham directed much of the operation. The investigation began when officers stopped Hatfield on her way into work and found drugs worth around £1 million inside her bag. Detectives had been monitoring her movements following a tip-off. Judge Kirsty Watson told the court that Whittingham used Hatfield's feelings for him to secure deliveries of drugs and other banned items. He admitted conspiracy to supply Class B drugs, conspiracy to smuggle drugs into prison, conspiracy to smuggle a knife into prison, and conspiracy to smuggle mobile phones. In October 2023, he received a total sentence of 11 years and 4 months. Hatfield admitted conspiracy to supply Class A and Class B drugs, smuggling drugs and phones into prison, taking knives inside, and money laundering. She was sentenced to more than 10 years in 2023. Michael Ferry, a former bare-knuckle boxing champion, managed to run an organised crime group from inside prison using a smuggled EncroChat device. The 33-year-old was already serving time for a violent gang assault when he took charge of a major drugs conspiracy. Police said he held a controlling role and directed the supply of 53 kilos of cocaine while behind bars. Ferry was sentenced last year to 22 years and 6 months. He must serve 11 years and 3 months before he can move to license. His reputation as a hard man began in the boxing ring. Newcastle Crown Court was told he was known for violence in both criminal and legitimate settings. and that people in the drug trade wanted to use his size and presence. He fought as a heavyweight and once defended a title at the Lancastrian Suite in Dunstan in 2016. Videos online show him in several bare-knuckle bouts under the nickname The Real Deal. Even while serving a long sentence, he carried on offending. With the EncroChat phone, he was able to direct criminal operations outside the prison walls. EncroChat was a France-based encrypted network used by organized crime groups. Ferry used it to arrange large-scale drug deals with clear financial gain. Conversations included talk about payments to his wife of £1,000 a week, described in court as similar to footballers' wages. There were also claims that Ferry and an associate expected to make £1 million each within 3 years. His barrister, Anthony Barraclough, told the court that others had used Ferry's name and reputation to boost their own standing. He said Ferry might have enjoyed the idea of being a major figure, but he wasn't the usual image of a drugs boss. At the time of the conspiracy, he was locked up for years, known mainly for his size and physical strength. Convicted people smuggler Arturas Jusas carried out one of the boldest criminal operations ever recorded from inside a prison. While serving his sentence, he directed the importation of illegal drugs worth millions of pounds into the UK. He coordinated close to a ton of cocaine and ketamine using mobile phones to stay in touch with members of his organized crime group. His gang offered a transport service for other criminal networks, moving large quantities of cocaine and ketamine from Europe into the country. Their activity ended after an investigation led by Sussex Police's Serious Organised Crime Unit, supported by other agencies. Officers arrested Jusas and the rest of the group once the scale of the operation became clear. Police acted on intelligence in July 2023, intercepting around 70 kilos of cocaine and 632 kilos of ketamine from 2 vans stopped on the A26 at Maresfield. The drugs, worth about £24.5 million, were packed into 30 cardboard boxes. They had been brought in by lorry driver Pavel Budsko, who arrived at New Haven port by ferry. Jusas appeared at Lewis Crown Court on Wednesday, the 3rd of September, where he received 6 years and 4 months. He is also scheduled to be deported to Lithuania. One of Britain's most notorious drug kingpins, Curtis "Cocky" Warren, is known for running a £200 million smuggling empire. In an operation led by Interpol, he became the #1 target after he was identified working with the Cali cartel from Colombia. He was described as being 30 years ahead of his rivals with his methods of smuggling drugs and guns, including the occasional grenade and tear gas. He was known as a womanizer and was moved around multiple prisons because he seduced several female officers. Raised in Toxteth, Warren started his life of crime early, bunking off school to scout houses to rob. At the age of 12, he was caught stealing a car. Later, in his teens, he received a 3-month sentence in a detention center for burglary, and then 5 years for armed robbery. Trying to turn his life around as a bouncer, he learned the drug trade and earned the nickname Cocky. Soon, he became the main man in Europe for the Cali cartel. With a photographic memory, he made direct contact with cartel leaders and arranged shipping and smuggling operations on his own. In 1991, he planned to import cocaine, hidden in lead ingots inside large steel boxes, which would have made him millions. But the same plan led to his arrest. A lead ingot is a solid block of purified lead cast into a simple rectangular shape. This matters because customs drilled into boxes during inspections, and Warren knew the biggest drill bit they owned, so he hid the drugs deeper than they could reach. One shipment linked to Curtis Warren was said to be worth close to £100 million. That load passed through without anyone spotting it. The next one did not. Police found 1,000 kilos of cocaine, and that discovery triggered the arrests of Warren, his business partner Brian Charrington, and 26 others. The case reached court in 1993, but it collapsed. Charges against Charrington were dropped when it came out that he was a police informant. He was described as Britain's supergrass on Colombian cartels, and the trial fell apart. 2 years later, Warren left the country. He went first to the Netherlands, then moved on to Holland. Back home, violence in Liverpool was rising fast. There were gang shootings at traffic lights, out on the streets, even inside gyms. Warren stayed out of sight, but Interpol had already marked him. They placed his name on their most wanted list. His money drew attention as well. He appeared in the Sunday Times Rich list at number 461 with an estimated fortune of £40 million. He was described as a major property player in the Northwest. Once details of his criminal activity emerged, his name disappeared from the list as quickly as it had appeared. Warren's rise, exposure, and the fallout it caused still stand as one of the most talked about chapters in British organised crime. If you found this video interesting, we have more on the way. Please like, share, and subscribe.